Paul Rust, how was season 2 of Love different to season 1 of Love?
Oh, good question. Well, I think season 2 is different just on a story level. That it's about Mickey and Gus. The characters that Gillian Jacobs and I play. We at the beginning of the season, we sort of know the red flags of getting together in a relationship, but the way we like to think of it is like it's a red flag for like a bull. It makes us come charging at the the red flag. So season 2 is sort of about them, even though they might know that this might not be the best time for them to get together and start a relationship. They can't fight sort of the desire to be together, and they try to make it work.
When we spoke in the last year, you said that a rare thing you were trying to accomplish with this show was creating a space where people could see vulnerable people and where vulnerability could be on display. This season, we saw Mickey talking about her alcohol, sex, and love addiction, and your character, Gus, trying to care for her in this very vulnerable place. How do you think this season addressed this sort of issue of presenting vulnerability rather than like just really cool, comfortable, confident TV characters?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think the further you go into a relationship with somebody IRL in real life, you allow yourself to become more and more vulnerable the longer you date. And so that's been also the interesting thing with the second season, is allowing the characters to be more vulnerable and exploring that territory. It's interesting as well because in season 1, I think one of the best things that TV can do with the time that you have and the ability to explore a character is show them in a scenario by themselves how they behave, and the truth of the matter, and then getting to see how they behave differently in another scene, having known like, oh, they're deceiving themselves or somebody else. So with this, it's been fun getting to see that, like, the times when they're vulnerable in their individual alone time, how that's starting to seep in and they become more vulnerable with each other. So that's been as far as season 2 goes, it's sort of like I guess they're dropping their masks a little bit more.
And you said you wanted the show to be a sort of safe place for vulnerable characters to be presented. And it seems like your character, Gus, is also very focused on wanting in his relationship it to be a safe place for Mickey to be vulnerable.
Yeah, because I guess, and then I feel like then we're also looking at like, well, why is he insistent on making her feel safe, but he's not doing that for himself? We had a line that was in season 2 that got edited out just as episodes get edited and stuff, and it was sort of about like Mickey says, it's like what they say when you get on an airplane, if the oxygen mask drops in a case of emergency, you should put yours on first before you try to put on somebody else's. And Gus says, well, why would I do that? The plane's going down or we're crashing anyway. I might as well do something nice. But I think that's sort of what is going on between the two of them, is he's feeling like he's being a protector and a fixer, and she's saying, hey, I'm doing that all right by myself. Maybe it's time for you to look at your own stuff. So that's been sort of for me, the interesting thing to get to play as somebody, a character who's slowly becoming aware of that.
And I guess what in the Gus Mickey relationship in season 2, what's the thing you think they got the most wrong?
I'd say they got most wrong. I think it's that. Trying to think of a specific example, but I think when they think they know what the other person's up to without asking them, because usually if you're not communicating with the other person, it's very easy to make up your own story of what this person's up to. You know, we did an episode that was really fun to do, where I go to Mickey's like a work party, and I meet somebody who she had previously slept with, and the fun of writing and acting in that episode was getting to do all that stuff of what people aren't saying and the stuff that they're guessing. And Gillian is such a talented actor. You can tell that, like, she knows that I know that she knows, you know, you get to go down all those rabbit holes. So I would say that's probably when things go most wrong, is when it's what all the couples therapists across the globe would tell you. It's just when there's a breakdown in communication, things go sideways.
Like when a lot's going on in their head, but they're not actually communicating all that mess that's up there with each other. And that, like, episode's a good one for that, because, like, Mickey's sort of looking at Gus often from afar, not knowing exactly what's being talked about, but imagining what, oh my gosh, should we say this and that?
Yeah, that was a part of the fun, I know, for the director of the episode, Brent Forrester, was getting to do point of view stuff of seeing somebody from across a room, and the two of them could be talking about, you know, bologna and bananas, but if you see anybody, two people who you have, you know, histories with, you're automatically going to assume that they're saying the worst things about you, which is rarely the case. Yeah,
that definitely reminded me of some parties I've been at.
Yeah.
What did Gus and Mickey get the most right this in their relationship?
Yeah, I think what they got the most right is sort of, we decided to do sort of a run of episodes in the middle of the season where there's kind of like sort of 2 or 3 different trials that they have to go, you know, trials by fire, you know, whether it's meeting somebody who the person previously slept with, if it's meeting your girlfriend's dad, house sitting together and having to, like, for the first time, be in sort of a domesticated world. I think the thing that we were trying to track through those episodes was their ability to recognize, like, oh, a fight is about to start happening. What can we do to pull the plug before we go crazy? But as those 3 episodes go on, you slowly see, like, they begin to struggle doing that. So I would say at the beginning, they do a better job of being like, this feels like this is going to be a fight. Let's cool off, go into separate corners, and work it out, you know.
Yeah, I like and talking a bit about towards the end of the season where Mickey sort of gets together with one of her exes and doesn't tell Gus about it, and then sort of in the final episode sort of goes, look, let's just make it all exclusive. Let's, like, you know, I have a friend I do a podcast with. He hated Mickey for that story arc. Where do you think the audience is meant to be left with Mickey at the end of that? So at the end of
season, we got really excited about that story because it's bothered me when I watch TV shows. Men can cheat and be adulterers. Sort of, a lot of times it's unremarkable. Like, it's just a part of the fabric of the show. It's like, of course this guy cheats, and they never have to atone for it. And not only is it ever, it's super rare to begin with to ever see a woman on TV, quote unquote, cheat. but it's even rarer that she does, and then there's not consequences, and you know, maybe consequences are good in life, but like sometimes with television, when somebody gets found out and punished for it, it feels a little like the TV show is punishing how some people struggle, you know? And so for us, we thought of it as less about, oh, we're trying to rile up the audience, and more about putting them in a position of having to identify with somebody who would do something like that, which I'm learning more and more with this show. The more something mirrors an experience they had, the angrier it gets them. So I don't know your friend, but if he's been cheated on or has been suspicious of it, I think that probably sticks a little bit more in somebody's craw than if not, you know.
Yeah, I'll ask about that. So
and then he'll punch me in the jaw.
No, he's a nice guy. He would do that.
Okay, I'm curious.
But the funny thing, I think like thinking about that, it's sort of funny that the person Mickey sort of sleeps with is one of the actors from Mad Men.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, which is funny because Mad Men is hands down my favorite drama I've ever seen on TV, and so as I was saying, like, oh, on TV, guys get to cheat and there's no consequences. I was like, I hope nobody thinks I'm throwing shade to Mad Men, because I love Mad Men. It's the other shows that kind of do that. I think I always felt like Mad Men handled adultery in a really sophisticated way, which is now I'm talking about another show that I'm not a part of that ended 3 years ago. So I'm wasting my breath on this. But the thing that I liked about it that I do think like has influenced the way we think about adultery on the show is usually when it happens, it's because somebody feels small and threatened. And it's a way to reclaim like your authority in a way. So yeah, I mean, definitely with our show, we tried to make it as that you could identify with it. But you know, even if you hadn't cheated, you could maybe understand like why somebody would do something.
Now, something I regret not talking to you about last year was the music in the show, and particularly like season 1. Maybe my favorite scene was you singing "Jet" at the party. It was so much fun. Like, how important is the music to you in the show, and how much of that is something that you've brought to it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's specific instances of you know, pre-existing songs, and there's also the instances of new songs, like the music, the movie title songs that that Gus plays on the show. Those songs, my friend Mike Cassidy, who's on the show, he and I co-write them together. And so that's musically, that's where I get to sort of make choices. And then a lot of the other song choices are in editing, and I'll be editing, you know, with our staff. But Judd has a really great ear for music and a good song cue to use. And so he's also brings a lot to the table in terms of that. You know, it's easy because probably the subject that's been had most songs written about it is love. So we definitely have a large catalog to pull from. You know, it's not like we're doing a song about, or a TV show about dishwashers, and we have to find songs about dishwashing. But yeah, like one of my I suggested at the end of the episode where Gus meets Mickey's dad, this song, "I'll Be Your Mirror" from the Velvet Underground, which is a favorite song of mine, and I think it's a really pretty love song. So got to put that in, and got to put some money in the pockets of the Velvet Underground estate, which is good. It's always good.
Now, you talked about the movie themes that you write. all the Gus writes with his friends in the show. And I guess you write them too. I guess like you're writing them as well. What meets the criteria? Like how do you choose what movies to write the songs for? It's got to be a movie that doesn't already have a theme. But outside of that, what are you looking for as you choose those movies to write songs about?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because just a couple of days ago at the writer's room, somebody was like, oh, what if Gus does one for a movie that when Mickey and Gus first meet, he references this John Candy, Eugene Levy vehicle called Armed and Dangerous. And they were like, you should write a song like that as a sweet gesture to her of being like, this is the song of the movie that we first talked about on the first day we met. And I was like, it's too bad, guys. Armed and Dangerous already has the theme song, and it's true. If you watch the if you watch the movie, it's like Armed and Dangerous. So we already has a movie title. So yes, that's already has the title song. So that's the first criteria, is that it can't have one. And then, you know, in the case of like the one we did for season 2, that came from Judd. We did one for this Sandra Bullock romantic comedy, While You Were Sleeping.
Yes.
And that came from Judd saying, oh, I think you should do a movie that's a romantic comedy, because it was a episode where something romantic happens, and it was just like, it'd be interesting to have so a lot of times they're chosen just by an energy or a vibe we're going after.
Do we have any in season 3?
Yes. Yeah. I've actually will be meeting up with my songwriting partner, Mike Cassidy, in a week or two, and we're going to cook up a new jam, as they say in the business.
Have you come up with the movie that you're doing it on yet, or we plan?
Oh, we have it. We have it. You know what I like to do is I'll sometimes just go into boxofficemojo.com, and I'll just like look through movie titles over the last 10 years, and when you can find a movie title where you're like, oh yeah, that movie, like something that people maybe have forgotten, like in season 1 we did like The Perfect Storm, and I felt like that's a movie that you definitely remember when it came out, but 15 years later, it's not like it's on the tip of your tongue. So that's always the sweet spot of the movie title songs.
Yeah. Well, it's like The Perfect Storm's a perfect example of like a film that sort of, before it came out, people thought this is going to be a big Oscar film. And then it sort of drops a bit in the nominations and doesn't really hit the radar much. It's sort of, people just remember it from more the hype leading up to it. Like,
and the big wave that's swallowing up the boat. That seemed to be the real star.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, it's fun. What else can we look forward to in season 3 of Love?
Yeah, you know, with season 3, the real fun of it has been we've now established all these different characters, and this ensemble of actors that we all really, really love, and I love getting to work with. And I think that's been the most fun of season 3, is just how much you can try to deepen the characters, but also find ways that they can be contradict what you knew about this character. I feel like once you're, whatever it is, we're 22 episodes deep after season 2, and after that, you know, people kind of go like, oh, I got a handle on who this character is. And so when you can start defying somebody's expectations, that's the real fun. But, you know, it's Mickey and Gus decide, you know, they are exclusive, and it's, I think, you know, what's different about it than the first 2 seasons is this one is them going, oh, this isn't just, I'm not just chasing a high. I'm realizing that this relationship could actually be very valuable, and I'm trying my best to make sure we stay together, because it could be could mean that I'm growing as a person. So whether it works for them or not remains to be seen. And
you will be wearing a suit at some point in season 3?
Yeah, yeah. I'd love for you to think that I got dressed up really nice, but yes, we're shooting. Just you can tell yourself that I dressed up nice for this, but yeah, we're shooting right now, and so your viewers, when they see season 3 and I'm wearing the suit, they can go, ah, that was the day he did the interview with the
Yeah, I like to think that you knew we were doing the interview today, so you scheduled the suit scene for today.
Yeah. Exactly.
What did you have a favorite fun on-set moment of the second season?
Oh yeah. You know, it was we did an episode where Mickey and myself and the characters Birdie and Randy, they all ingest psychedelic mushrooms, and that was really fun because it was like when you shoot late into the night, you start getting a little like punch drunk. You just are sort of like crazy and loopy. So I have fond memories of, you know, it being 5 a.m. and the sun's about to come up on a Saturday morning, and you're getting the giggling fits because it's the end of the week. But you know, it's really nice. So many of the actors on the show are friends of mine who I've known for 10 years performing at the UCB theater. And so it's really, you know, without sounding too corny about it, like being on the set is usually always fun because I got a buddy there, which is really great. And then Gillian is just an absolute dream to work with. Not only is she just very kind and professional, but then mega talented and makes me look good.
Yeah, and I got to see Claudia O'Doherty perform in Sydney earlier this year, which was fun.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's great. Yeah.
She came with the Come Bang Bang thing. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. I know I had other friends who did that, and I know they thought it was a great audience. So you were a part of a great audience.
Ah, that's great. That's really good to hear. Yeah, no, so you said also just when you're talking about season 3, what you really like about the show is subverting the expectations. What do you think's a moment where the expectations were subverted in season 2?
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know, bringing back that mushrooms episode, I think that was like one where we were like, oh, the expectation is going to be because Gus is a nerd and he's gonna freak out and have a meltdown or have a bad experience with mushrooms. And I think we all enjoyed the moment of him saying like, hey, that was fun. Which I know when we did the initial table reads for it, that was the thing people pointed out, was like, oh, that turned out differently than I thought it was going to. So and I love that you can do a show on Netflix and not on network TV where a character has a positive experience with an uncontrolled substance. You know, like it's a rare thing on network TV for sure. Usually the person would have to like you know, flip out and drive a car through a house and then be like, I'll never do that again. But this was something different.
To wrap up, I imagine through doing your UCB work that it is a process that's constant, where you're constantly learning new things. And I would imagine that also working on a TV show, every year you would learn new things. What have you learnt in the past year from your comedy, but also from working on the show?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because if you, being a writer and an actor on it, there's and I was just thinking about it this morning that like, you know, what's great about having other actors who don't write on the show is that when they present their performance to you or they act when you're doing the scene, they weren't there when it was written, So they might have a different notion of what the scene's about or what the character is experiencing in that moment. And so they'll bring something unexpected. And that's like the best thing in the world is when you're watching an actor do something that like goes beyond anything you could have possibly written. And so for me personally, it's been about trying to learn, okay, I wrote this, now I just have to throw it away and act in a way that I was given the script and I'm not like trying to show everybody everything that I was trying to get across in the writing. It's sort of like forgetting about it. But you know, that's true. Then I also learn it with other actors too, where it's like, there's been so many times where 4 lines of dialogue out because Gillian or Claudia gives an expression and it says, you know, 45 words just with a look. And that's the thing I've also just been learning is like, oh, there's times where you can, just like in this interview, you can say less and make more of an impact. So maybe I should have just answered your question in facial expressions.
Well, how would you have done that? How would you have done that, Paul?
I'd be like, hey, oh, ooh, just a bunch of those. Or you would have thought I was a or you thought I was a lunatic.
Yeah, well, we've got both now. We've got both, so people can decide which one they'd rather. Yeah. Paul, I'm conscious you need to. We want Love Season 3, so we want like, you to be able to go out and finish the scenes in the suit. So all the best with that. All the best with the Emmys, and all the best with Love. Yeah, I guess Love Season 3 and the Emmys.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Yes, and I will hopefully be seeing you at the UCB at some point this year or early next year.
Most definitely. Just you know, if you're out in the audience, just start screaming. Say, I'm here, and I'll know you're there.
Okay. Great, I'll do that, Paul. Have a good one, mate.
Okay. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.